All right, so in this video, I'm going to walk you through my R script that's going to use a chi-squared statistic to calculate the differences between on-campus students' responses to the survey questions and our online students' responses. So this R script, I'm going to walk you through step by step to show you how I'm going to carry out this chi-squared statistic in R. It's really cool. I'm going to be showing you how to take the results and also export those results out to a file. Hope you enjoy it. In this R script, I'm going to be calculating the chi-squared statistic for each of the individual question IDs, where I'm comparing the response of the online student for that question to the on-campus student to see if there's a significant difference. And we are going to be looking at this difference for all 16 of the questions that we identified that are going to be within the scope of this study. But what I'm going to do here is, first of all, you can see that no additional libraries are going to be required, that we can use the existing base R and any other packages that are loaded right now in my library. Next, we can see that what we're going to do here is we're going to create an output file. And I see the name of the output file there. And what I'm doing here is I want to be able to document the results of the study. So I'm going to send all of the chi-squared results to an output text file, and therefore I can just grab that text and put it into some report or import it anywhere I want. So this gives me some usability with the results. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and execute that. And it created a text file for me. And you can see that down here in the files area, it created that text file right here. And if I open that up, you can see that there's nothing in it. All right, so next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all 16 questions and put them into a vector. This vector is called quest IDs, so that each of those 16 values are now put into the quest IDs vector. And I did that. You can see up here under values, this quest IDs value was just created, and you can see each of those values are included in that vector. All right, the next step is going to, this is where the meat of the code is going to take place. So since I want to calculate the chi-square statistic for each of the 16 variables, rather than having to include code for each of those 16 times, I want to have a little bit more flexibility. So that what I could do is in the future is just put any set of question IDs in here, and then this same code would work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this what's called a loop. I'm going to be executing code over and over, actually in this case 16 times, once for each of the question IDs, and calculate the chi-squared and then send that out to my output file. So I create this for loop. So I'm going to create this for loop, and it's going to execute for each of the question IDs that's inside the vector. So, and it's going to, for that vector number that it's working on, it's going to assign that to the QID variable. So it's going to move down to this first line here, which will be for the responding. It's going to count the number of rows for online students that indicated a value of less than 3. So this would be a strongly disagree or a disagree response to that particular question. And then I'll look at the students that responded to a neutral response, neither disagree nor agree. And then finally, I'm going to count the number of responses where the response is greater than 3, and this would be the strongly agree or the agree for our online students. And then I'll repeat the same for the on-campus students. And each of these counts are put into a separate variable, and you can see the variable over here. So this count is then assigned to variable XOD, this count is to XON, and this count is to XOA. And then same for the on-campus students. And then once I put all those counts into my variable, then it's going to create a table. I'm going to take all those counts and put it into this summary table. And the summary table, if you take a look at this, this is what a chi-squared summary table looks like. And this looks very similar. This is exactly from my Excel example. So you can see this is the table that I'm creating so that I can carry out my chi-statistic on this table. I don't need to create the expected. I only need to create the observed table. Now, once I assign all those variables, and the order in which I am assigning them is important for it to build the table correctly. And you can see that that's a 2-row table or 2-row matrix. Assigning that as the CS table variable. And then I'm going to go ahead and calculate the chi-squared test on that CST table. So that table that I created, it's going to run the chi-squared test on that. And then what it's going to do, it's going to take the result of that chi-squared statistic and put that into my output file. So here you can see that first I'm going to create a header to indicate that these are the results for question ID, and then it's going to grab the ID that I'm working with, and then it's going to send it out to my output file, and it's going to append the results. And then it's going to go ahead and take that results from my chi-squared test and put that out to the output file as well. So now if I run my for loop, it's going to run through there 16 times, and it does that really quickly. And you can see over here my values that it's going to show you the values for the last time through. The last time through should have been question ID 277, and it's going to show the MA, MD, MN, XOA, XOD, XON results from that last iteration. You can see that there is now information content in this output file. So if I click on that, I can see I have all 16 results were sent out to the output file. So I have created this header that I created, and it tells me what's the calculation that's being done. And this is the variable that it calculated it on. It provides me with the chi-squared value, the degrees of freedom, and the p-value to indicate looking at the p-value to indicate the probability that this is that is not due to randomness, and the p-value is well below 0.05. So all these are going to be below 0.05, and therefore are going to be statistically significant at the 95th percent confidence level. So I now completed the chi-squared for all 16 question IDs and placed the results in this output file. So I could open this output file and use this for other purposes. So that's how you use R to conduct a series of chi-squared tests. In this script, this is set up so that I can reuse this, put in different question IDs in my vector, and it would run the same set of output and same calculation for those values.